other fellow YouTubers and ship geeks alike out there. This is your old friend Comet Urban, and you're tuning in. Thank you for tuning in. And today I got another awesome segment for you from the Commodore's collection. And we're going to talk about deck plans. You're thinking, deck plans? Yes, deck plans. For every major shipping line, they produce deck plans of their ships. The Cunard line produced deck plans for their mainline ships. The White Star did for their ships. But we're going to talk about deck plans from one of my favorite vessels, the SS United States. Now, over the years, they have produced multiple sets of miniature deck plans, which I've actually showed you some of the earliest ones in an older video. I showed you some early set of plans, but I'm going to show you some other deck plans I have of the ship. I have six actually with the older set. I actually have 7 different varieties. Well, technically I have 6 because I got 2 of the same. And so I'm going to show you the different varieties I have. The first set here, these were printed around 1954. And on them it says SS United States Miniature Deck Plan United States Lines. Now these here are unlike the other set of these I have. These have a travel agent stamp put on them. And on the back side you have this really lovely photograph of the United States, which says New SS United States, length 990 feet, breadth 101 feet 6 inches, gross tonnage 53,330. And once you open it up inside, you can definitely get a scope of how large these deck plans and stuff really are. And voila, basically you open it up, it gives you the entire inside of the ship. And it does that on the other side here too. See, right here's the other side of the vessel, or the other side of it, which shows from the levels it goes down: bridge deck, sports deck, sun deck, promenade deck, upper deck, main deck, A deck, B deck, C deck, and D deck. And if I remember correctly, this version here was printed, March 1954. So this was 2 years after the maiden voyage. And just like this set here, I have an exact copy of that same one here, but this one's a little bit more beaten up and a little more disdained and a little bit more discolored. It's the same exact thing as the other one. It's printed the same year, same everything, but this one's just a little bit more, as you can see. It's got some holes, it's got some wear in it, it's got some staining. Because I think in this was in a house where people smoke, because you can see there's staining on it and stuff. But it's got holes in it for just, I think, age. But that's one style of deck plan. That's one style printed. See, it's the same thing like I showed you. Same exact style. Now, the next style that I have is from, I believe these are from the early 1960s. See, they actually added this stylish little thing on top that says the SS United States Miniature Deck Plan United States Lines, but instead with the eagle in the background up here, they put the company logo in the corner, and they have this picture here, which is actually the upper half of the famous picture of the United States of America passing each other. And it says here the SS United States, length 990 feet, breadth 101 feet 6 inches, gross tonnage 51,988. Eddie, shut up, please. Sorry, my dog's barking. Anyway, these here, what's different about these unlike the original ones, these here were printed, with red, black, and white ink. See? They're quite big if you see. Right here, she printed in USA, January 1962. So these are early 60s when these were produced. And these are actually, this one here is kind of unique because this one's been written on, because it shows up here on the main deck that there's a bunch of cabins and stuff that's been marked in first class territory and stuff, which I believe that this particular set of deck plans had been on the SS United States, been used by a passenger. So this is actually kind of neat. And the next style of deck plan the United States Lines would release is this later one from 1964, which looks similar to the one from 62 except for the illustration from 62 changed to 64. But either in that, they look the same, and also the photographs. The photograph on the 64 one's got a picture of her leaving out of New York versus this photo here on the 62. And on here, it basically denounces her again from 51,988 gross tons to 51,821. The reason why her tonnage kept going down, down, down was because, because of docking fees and stuff, you pay your docking fees on the tonnage and the size of the ship. So the United States Lines was trying to cut corners and trying to pay less for the ship, and saying that she's this versus the 53,330 that they were so proud of back in 1952. But just like the 1962 one, this one's printed basically about the same way. It's a little different, some of the stuff here, some of the printing's a little bit different, but the color scheme itself is still the same. It's red and black with white, and black and white photos showing the ship and the levels of the ship itself. I don't know if this one ever was used on the ship, because this one here looks really nicely in pretty pristine shape. There's a little bit of wear and tear on the edges, but it wasn't like it had been unfolded and refolded, unfolded and refolded a bunch of times. Now the next set that they produced, they actually had a color set too, but I have the one. This is one version of. They actually had a full colored set too, but this is the one that's printed kind of off-colored ink, and it's for cruising. See, it says Cruise Deck Plan, United States Lines. I believe these were printed about the same time, about early mid 60s, because these just open up These basically open up the show, and doesn't even show you all the levels of the ship. It goes from the upper portion all the way down to B deck, because during when the ship was being used for cruising, they couldn't use the tourist class parts of the ship because there was no private bathroom facilities in the cabins and tours. So that whole entire part of the ship had to be closed off. So that was, that was a killer for the ship. Now I got two other styles, but they also released what they were called, deck plans for different parts of the ship. That's first class deck plans, cabin class, and tourist class. I don't have any first class ones, but I have this cabin class deck plan. I believe it's from the mid to late 1950s right here. And what's really neat on the back, it's got a travel agent stamp which says Terre Haute, Indiana. I live pretty close to Terre Haute, so that's pretty neat. And it opens up like a little booklet and stuff. It talks about the history of the ship here. And basically, first these deck plans versus those, these are kind of more like a book, more like an elongated book. And it shows you the plans of the ship in larger size plans, which I like these kind of deck plans personally because they're larger in size. As you can, I'll show you an example here. See, the plans themselves of the ship are a lot larger in these booklet versions here than they are in the miniature. The ones I showed you before are called miniature deck plans. These are just deck plans. And from this style here though, this is not early, but mid-late 1950s. And this style here, I believe this was the style they used throughout the 1960s. And this is a tourist class one. The difference between this style and this style, this style here, they would have, the color matching stuff on this, but they used the Arl painting in the ship here versus the later painting of the ship here. And you open it up just the same. And the first thing when you open it up, you got this big illustration of the big U, which is a really nice illustration, which is the illustration they used on postcards. And just like I showed you with the cabin class one, this tourist class deck plan is just an enlarged version of basically like the miniature deck plans you would get, like of the full entire ship, but they enlarged in the areas that was for tourist class. And there's actually some really nice color, and I'll show you. There's some really nice color images of the interior of the ship, as you can see. Very nice. It's really, really lovely stuff. But I don't have a first class or a cabin class of this style, and I don't have first or tourist of this type. But I'm planning on getting those. And there's still several other variations of the miniature deck plans that they printed and produced. I don't have, but I'm planning on getting them. And when I get those, I think I will do a part 2 to this video here and kind of explain to you more of the differences of why they did different variations of the same thing. So I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned a little something. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comment section down below. And if you like the video, give it a thumbs up, please. And if you like my channel, please hit subscribe. Until next time, this is your old friend Common Urban saying, have smooth seas and clear skies and a happy sailing with you.